So Ranked is back at Tier 10, and this is a really good time to play some of your more aggressive ships or things you want to push in with, because the lack of players on some of these large maps really does open up lanes for you to just push in without having to feel like you're just going to die right away. And Tears of the Desert is a perfect example. This map is often incredibly campy and boring to play, but with so few people on it, you can push middle islands like this from, well, it helps if you push it from this side of the map, just because you can get to this central island a little bit easier, and it's just such a powerful position to get into. We even surprised the Shimakaze there. I was looking to see earlier on if he had launched his torps. That's why I started to push out there. I knew he was there, just based on earlier information, but I wanted to wait until the torpedoes I knew weren't going to just one-shot me when I pushed in. You still got to be smart about it, but these maps really are pretty good when you have less people on them, as funny as that sounds. But oftentimes people do just want to hold on to this kind of ring of islands along this this farther flank that we're aiming at right now. And if you can get an Ohio or really any battleship into here, it's so difficult for the enemy team. So finding positions like this on maps is pretty common, honestly. They're impossible positions to play in random battles, especially so early into the game. You can see we're barely 6 minutes into this match and I'm already here in the middle of the map. So this would be impossible in a normal random battles game. However, with the lack of players and different game modes, that kind of thing, it really does open up the map. And that's what you should be thinking about when you're going into ranked games, I think. I think that getting creative with your positioning, doing things that the enemy team won't expect, that kind of thing, it's really going to help you win a lot of games, even if you take a lot of damage getting here, or maybe you die even. But trying to build up this thought process of playing aggressively, trying to take the fight to the enemy, trying to catch people off guard, I think you're going to win a lot more games than you lose just with that kind of mentality. Of course, you do want to be playing a good ship, right? Bringing something that's really not that amazing at Tier 10 won't really help you win some of these games, and Ohio is probably one of your better options for a battleship, just due to its overall tankiness, strong guns, decent at close range and long range, that kind of thing. It's one of your better picks for sure. I'm definitely playing one of the meta ships. But that's what you're going to be up against a lot of the time in ranked. You can see there's just another Ohio. So getting this broadside flank on him results in some huge damage, that kind of thing. So even if you have a strong ship, it is a lot about positioning. You don't have to play the meta ship for sure, as long as your positioning and aim and that kind of thing is very good. Of course, this game worked out because my team also played a cross angle, right? You can see our Des Moines and Stalingrad and Goliath all went to this sort of ring of islands on the south side of the map, and that allowed us to set up a crossfire. This position wouldn't be nearly as good without them there. So of course you do want to play around your teammates. That kind of thing is very important to do. But this kind of aggression can not only help you get decent angles on different ships, but it applies a lot of pressure to the enemy team, and it can inspire people on your team to push up as well. They're not going to be as afraid to push in alone when they see someone on their team already pushing. And we'll see that in the next game, where my team gets a little bit too happy to push in with me. But it can work out in your favor still. Of course, you know, it's a battleship, so broadsides don't always get punished super hard. But on average, it's going to really help your team. And of course, our team does a great job of cleaning things up in this one, and this one's going to be a pretty easy win. And it all really came about just because we had this aggressive central push, and we managed to catch off guard that Shimakaze. It opened up our Yamato to push the flank, it opened up the Conqueror and myself to get middle, and our cruisers did a really good job stalling on that southern ring of islands. Really well played by my team, but I think our position definitely helped our team win that one, even just a little bit easier than they normally would have. Moving on to our second game, we are again pushing really aggressively, and this time it's on the map Hotspot. And this map, of course, the sea cap is kind of just a little playground to push into, assuming the enemy team doesn't have a ton of backline snipers, right? So in this case, they kind of do, so we need to be a little bit careful, but you notice they're not really on the 7, 8, 9 lines, they're moving over towards the A cap. So that allows us to use the island, well, directly in front of us, on the opposite side of the cap, on the enemy's side, as cover from them. So this is a really good opportunity to look at different islands you can use in this game to succeed, or at least help you push in. Of course, our Worcester did not expect a Zhao on the flank, and the Zhao was smart enough to use AP, so that guy is dead already. You can see our team is very willing to push in behind us, and that's not going to go so well for a few of them, just because they're not quite using the same islands. And that's really why I wanted to show you this game, is especially the Colombo behind me. He pushes almost identically to how I do, but he's maybe 100 or 200 meters away from me. Well, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe like a kilometer away from me by the time we get to these kind of stationary positions that I wanted to get to. And you'll notice just the difference in quality on my position compared to that Colombo's position later on. But for now, the Zhao ducks behind the island. The Thunderer is not coming out. You can see I was trying to get ready for that broadside shot when the Thunderer came out. But if he wants to sit there and get farmed out by our team, that's fine by me. So now we can use this incredibly strong island to basically prevent the enemy team from pushing down to B. We have a Holland to spot and just generally be a torpedo nuisance, which is really good. Moskva sniping, and myself to cut off these broadsides, right? You can see just how powerful a position like this is. But a position like this, again, wouldn't be possible in random battles. There's just too many people. And what this position is weak to is people on the 7, 8, 9 lines, maybe in the C-ish file, right? So we're again making use of positioning that is really only possible in these low numbered games, and really matches that really just force you to spread out. And that's what I like about ranked. I like utilizing positions like this, and of course, as basically all of you know at this point, I like brawling and pushing in and getting aggressive in this game. I think it makes it a lot more fun, at least for me. It makes it a lot more fun for me. So that's why I'm using positions like this, and that's why I'm actually enjoying tier 10 ranked. I don't usually enjoy ranked, but in this case, it's been a ton of fun. Of course, you will have to worry about the tier 11 ships or super ships. This game was obviously played in a match without those, and these are earlier on replays that I have from initial games in ranked when there weren't as many super ships flying around, but these positions are still going to work, and a ship like Ohio is still going to be quite strong against a lot of these super ships. Not as good as obviously it would be in an all tier 10 game, but it's still not a bad ship. You got a lot of overmatch, pretty accurate guns, decent reload, right? All the strength of the Ohio still matter in a super ship kind of game. You just have to be a little bit more careful about going up against a Hanover or Satsuma, or giving broadside to the Konda, different things like that. You gotta be a little bit more careful, but these positions still can work. And I'm excited to try out some of those super ships. You can definitely see some of those ships later on this week on the channel. I still have yet to play them actually in ranked, but I'm probably going to play them this week in ranked and see how they go. Might see some interesting games using something like the Hanover in different positions like this, trying to get those secondaries working, or the Satsuma giving some dev strikes, that kind of thing. I'm excited to try them, but I haven't done so yet. Now, again, talking about positioning, this Colombo is very near to me. However, he's going to die here very, very quickly because, I mean, I say this in almost every brawling video, but you want to isolate fights, you want to take 1v1s. It's really, really, really important. And I think this shows really just how important it is that I am preventing both Hindenburgs from shooting at me, right? And the Colombo, well, he hasn't really been doing that. So he goes down relatively quickly. It probably didn't help that the Thunderer popped out on him there. Of course, our team did kind of lose a lot of ships here south of C, so it did allow the Thunderer to pop out like this, but he's now forced into a crossfire. This Moskva is getting broadside shots on him, and the GK, well, it is a GK, so it's probably not going to do too much to a broadside Thunderer, but it's possible he gets a good salvo in. So he's in a bit of a rough spot, so that's why I'm going to focus him. But we do need to push forward. Unfortunately, this Thunder is forcing me out of this, but really, like, this is a really strong position. But the Thunder is going to force me out, and I have to go, because taking a ram here, it's really not worth it. I'm really hoping that my Kurfurst and my Moskva are going to be able to kill this guy, but they're taking their time. So at the end of it, I decide to just send it out this gap. We're going to take huge amounts of damage from these Hindenburgs, but the important thing is that we're angled to the Thunderer, and we're relatively angled to the Republic. And something that is not really talked about all that much, but is turret management. You can actually relatively easily hold your front turrets on a target and hold your rear turrets on a different target. You know, of course, that when you swap your view from one half of your ship to the other, your front or rear turrets are going to try and do that full 180-degree rotation and try and get to the other side of your ship. Well, if you constantly swap your view back and forth from one side of the ship to the other, you can relatively easily hold your whichever turrets are behind wherever you're looking. You can kind of hold them almost stationary on a target. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to hold my rear turrets ready for that Hindenburg, who I see is about to ground. And I'm trying to hold my front guns so that I can maybe get a shot on the Republic as he drives by. We're going down here, there's no doubt about that. And unfortunately, we've lost a lot of our guns. There's another turret knocked out, which is really, really unlucky. But you can see how we're still able to get some really good shots out right before we die. That finishes off the Republic, and in a 2v2, we actually ended up winning this game. So some pretty impactful games there, brought about by low player count games opening up some very aggressive positions on the map. So Ohio, of course, would be great at taking advantage of those, but honestly, a lot of other battleships, even without the secondary gun power or the fast reloading heals that kind of make up the Ohio's skill set here, a lot of other battleships would be good in those positions as well. So just because you don't have an Ohio doesn't mean you can't make a play like that. But for those of you wondering, here is my commander. I'm running a bit of a AA build. Ohio has some of the best AA out of any battleships, so if I want to try and do my best as an aggressive battleship, and there's a CV in a game, Ohio's probably going to be the best option. So that's why I have this build. But honestly, there's not too many CVs out there, so you're probably actually better off running Adrenaline Rush and then maybe Vigilance as a skill. I think those two would probably do a little bit more on average in more games, but I just get very frustrated whenever there's an aircraft carrier in the game, so I like to take those two skills to try and give myself a fighting chance, even though we all know that if a carrier wants you dead, you're dead. Doesn't matter what you're going to do. Here is the rest of my build, though. You can see I'm actually running steering gears. I'm not sure if I really want to stay with that. I kind of flip-flop back and forth between all these three. They're all very good. But as far as the other skills, you can see how sometimes, if you get unlucky, running Damage Control Party Mod 1 means your main guns are just going to get killed a lot. So running Main Armaments Mod 1 is also good. Same with Auxiliary Armaments, trying to keep your secondaries alive, that kind of thing. There's a lot of good builds for an Ohio, but this is what I'm running right now. Probably is going to change in the future, but in these games, this is what worked out pretty well, I'd say. So that's the Ohio, and that's some pretty good rank games. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.